Jim Reed, I am happy to be interviewing you, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing better now that you're here.
Right? That's what
This
I
is
mean.
good.
That's why this guy is the king of sales. Uh, Seriously, man. I've known you for 13 years now. 13 or 14 years.
I don't remember not knowing you. What I do remember is that you became a coach, and I didn't even know who the hell you were. And I was like, "Who's this Hunter guy?" And then I
Yeah.
got to know you, and I realized why.
And I shouldn't say I didn't like you. You intimidated me. You made me nervous. So I stayed away from you. I'm like, well, I'm not going to go interview the one guy that's going to shoot me down. Which actually, that's probably a good, that in and of itself is a good lesson for everybody to learn. Don't do that. It actually worked out for me, but don't do that. Why do you still coach? Like you've been a coach for how long?
Like just any kind of coach or business coach?
This is called business.
At least 18 years.
Yeah.
Like at least.
So why do you still do it?
So like I've been playing sports since I was 4 years old. How about you?
Yeah.
So I played
Same.
sports since I was 4 years old, and while I was still in college doing sports, my high school track coach asked me to come coach the sprint group while I was going to San Jose State. And the first track meet that I was ever a coach at was the Stanford Relays, which is a really big meet. And the first event that I ever coached, like my guys ran, was the mile relay. And as soon as the gun went off, I jumped up in the air and I was dancing around like I was Fred Astaire. And my coach thought, "Oh, you'll be a coach the rest of your life," like my boss, the guy who coached me. I just like it. I mean, I've been coached forever. I have so many coaches I could name and tell you what they did for me that I just feel like I'm required to pay it forward, and I just like it. I just
If
feel
you
like,
had
not everybody has the guts to be strong when you need to be strong, be soft when you need to be soft, and I just like it.
So that's, and my next question is, without, it's hard not to sound or feel arrogant by saying it, but what makes, I mean, I can tell you because you've coached me, what makes you a great coach?
Well, the same thing that probably made you nervous to talk to me, and that is that I'm willing to say what's on my mind, and I believe in I believe in making some deposits so that I could put some pressure on. And I think that when
Yeah.
people put pressure on before they make deposits, that's when coaches get the bad reputation. But if you make some deposits first, then you can put the pressure on. And everybody who has a coach, who's hired a coach, who's been on a team, I don't care if it's subliminal or whatever, is doing it because at some point they want somebody to put the pressure on them a little bit, at least. A little bit.
Unapologetically.
Well, I apologize a lot because sometimes I don't come across the right way. But I don't apologize for what I was intending. Sometimes I apologize for the delivery. But I think that like there's pressure, praise, and competition.
Yeah.
And people, this is going to sound not that nice. People who say their number one motivation is praise, I'm probably not going to do that much. I'm sorry. I love you. I'll hug you. I do. But like pressure and competition, those are the right things if you want to achieve a lot.
Although, by the way, to what you just said, the key too is to understand. I think as a coach, you gotta understand who your students are too. Like it's okay
For
for
sure.
someone, it's okay for it to be praised, to understand that and to know that's what you're going towards. It's just that most people that are seeking praise, of which I am guilty of from time to time, are like that motivation as opposed to the pressure and the competition. There's greater pressure and competition to perform than there is, I want you to say I did a great job when it's all over, right?
Well,
That's what you're saying.
yeah. So you're talking about what propels a person, right?
Yeah.
So normally, whatever they say first, I ask people all the time when I'm coaching them, pressure, praise, or competition. Whatever they say first usually isn't the one that will propel them. It's the one they
Interesting.
say in the middle. So if they say, like to your point, it's okay to say I get motivated by praise. I do too. Like, for example, my wife, when she praises me, I'll do all the chores,
Yeah.
like every time. So
Right.
it's not, you actually helped me with that because I don't mean to say that being motivated by praise is not good. But when you say that's your first one, it's okay. But as a coach, whatever their second one is that you discover, whether it be the other two, right, which is pressure or competition. Whatever their
Yeah.
secondary modality is the one that will propel them. Almost all the time.
Check you out with modality.
And I'm pretty fancy. 6 times on academic probation, but I remember that word, brother.
I love it. So 18 years, that's 36 semesters. 36 times 12 is more than now everyone listening to this is going to be like, I got that. You coached a lot of students.
Over
If you had
1,000.
yeah. So if you had to pick the profile of, I always try to, I want people to think of like, if they're getting coached by Jim, what's Jim automatically thinking based on past experience? What are the best students? What do they represent? If you had to pick a few different words.
Yeah, good question. Like, so first of all, I think that one of the things you got to understand as either a student or a coach is everybody's on their own timeline. You can't hold everybody to the same timeline. I've seen people get coached for 2 semesters, 1 year, and then basically, I hate the word submit, but basically agree to do it without question
Yeah.
and blow up. And I've seen people take 5 years.
Yeah.
I take a long time. I'm slow and steady wins the race. I'm not like I ran track, but I'm slow out the blocks. But I finish really strong. And I think that some people are like that. And other people are like out the blocks, right? So 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 the reason I'm saying that is because you said you asked the question in the form of, hey, what works best? And what works best is to not give up. That's what's worked best. Like, just not give up. Like, no matter how many times you get knocked down to get back up, and then eventually you'll blow up. That's the truth. Yours
Yeah.
may be 6 months, mine may maybe 6 years. But having said that, what I would say is to like, so there's this crazy story, right? So I was watching this video, and there was this guy who was on SEAL Team 2. I think there's like 7 or 8 SEAL teams, right? And they have different focuses. So this one was about breaching. You know what breaching is?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I didn't really know what it was. So this guy's job was to uh, blow up the building or the door or the wall. And so he describes his job. He's like, my job is to find the minimum point of entry, figure out the stability of the minimum point of entry, devise a bomb that's built specifically for where we're going to go through the door or the wall, one that's big enough to go through the door but not too big to hurt people, to figure out the minimum point of extraction, which is how far we got to be away. He's given all these details. I get it all figured out. I peel off this sticky stuff. I don't remember what he said it was. He sneaks up on the door or the wall and he sticks it on there. He goes back and then he says 3 words: execute, 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 and blows up the wall. And then all the SEALs execute. And I just think that when it comes to your business, the number one trait of really high achievers is they execute. They just execute, even if it's wrong. Like, even if it's wrong, because I was listening, I wish I could remember, I don't remember names that great. But I listen to smart people, right? And he's like, uh, people who achieve the most and go the farthest make decisions quick and don't worry about if they're right or wrong. Because if they're wrong halfway through, they'll figure out, make a little adjustment, and keep moving the right direction. Where others just wait and think and think and think. So my one answer is you have coaches around you who you've paid to teach you the business, or mentors around you that taught you how to run track or play football or be a lineman. Just execute whatever they say.
Why don't you think people do? Like, why
I
don't
can
you
only
think
speak for
people,
me.
why,
Yeah. Why
say
don't they
again?
execute? Yeah. It's always a fear. So it's a fear of, right? So my answer is fear. Like, I believe in fear of being successful. I don't really know
Yeah.
why I had that. I don't really know why I had that, but I had it most of my life. So I believe in that, as weird as it is. Fear of failure. There's all kinds of fears, but as soon as you can release fear is when you really grow. Like like Hunter, you have a really good wife. You do.
Yeah.
I know her, and you
Yeah.
do. And you know, no matter how bad you embarrass yourself, because you do embarrass yourself, you're not that great a dancer. Come on, I take it back. You're actually a fantastic dancer. But you'll bust it out no matter what, and you don't care if people are laughing at you or with you.
Yeah.
Part of where that comes from, it comes from your DNA, it comes from your parents, but it comes from your current family. Like, I think that having a great, strong family is like one of the big keys, honestly. And to lean on them.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I would just say lean on people, right? Because I was going to ask you, like, when you talk about, like, if you say what creates fear, how do you get people over it? How do you, as a coach, like you, Jim Reed, if I'm interviewing you, right? And I know that one of my, well, we talked about fear, we talked about executing, right? You got fear first, and then you don't execute because you have fear. And if I'm interviewing Jim Reed as to why you're the right coach that gets me through, because I think it's universal that people, one, fear, right, creates creates people to freeze a lot of the
Hesitation.
times, right?
Fear
So
creates hesitation, period.
yeah. So what do you do as a coach to get people off of that?
Specifically, I relate to myself because I'm nothing special. Hunter, I had a C- average in high school. I was on academic probation 6 times in college. I retook English 1A 3 times. I took stats 3 times. I had to take it in summer to pass it, right? So I'm nothing special. What I did was hang around the right people to lean on. Like, you want to go a long ways, you got to have the right people around you to lean on. My favorite saying is, if you look left and you look right and you see seagulls, you're a seagull. And I don't care what you look like. If you look like a seagull, but you look left and you look right and you see eagles, you're an eagle, brother. I just think that the biggest, like, hey Jim, what's one thing you did right? I listened to my old man. My old man, when I was in high school, was hanging around with the wrong people. And he knew it, but he also knew I wasn't listening to him. My dad was smart enough, because I was the second son, to learn from his first son that at some point you kind of stop listening to your dad for a little bit. And he said to me, uh, I won't tell you the whole story because it's a little embarrassing. But at some point he said, I hope it works out for you. When he got up and walked away from the table. He didn't tell me what to do. He didn't tell me what would happen if I did it. He didn't tell me what would happen if I didn't. He just said, gave me some advice. You are you hang out with, boy. Hope it works out for you. Got up and left, and I'm like, oh God, I'm on my own. I can't not do what he tells me anymore because he's not going to tell me what to do.
Yep.
And I just think that that was the most powerful lesson of my life. So then I started hanging out with guys like Todd and you and Josh and JJ and all those people. And I think that's the biggest. And I think that that's what coaching does, right? So if you're going to get coached, you're going to get coached by someone who has the results that you're seeking. And that's another way of
Yes.
choosing that's another way of choosing who you hang out with, right?
Well, and I think too, from an industry perspective, I mean, for loan officers, right? That's who you coach. It's like you feel like you don't have, I mean, there is, I call it a rudderless ship, right? I mean, if you don't have someone to talk to on combination of COVID, whether or not you're more remote than you used to be, not talking to people, I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't have someone that's helping you self-correct and challenge you, you're kind of screwed.
The other story I tell sometimes is like there's only been 1 month in 24 years that I wasn't coached on my personal family budget. It's the only month I didn't fill it out.
Yeah.
To this day, I joined a group
Yeah.
where I'm getting coached again, and we don't even share forms, but I fill it out just in case someone asks me.
Yeah.
Like, I just think if you're not part of a peer group and you have a little bit of accountability, I don't know a better way to grow faster. And like, Hunter, I gotta tell you, I really love my wife. And beyond that, the guys that I want to hang out with the most are my boys. Like, I love you. I'd love to hang out with you. Josh, I love to hang out with Josh. But my 2 sons and my 3 stepsons, my 5 boys, bro, on my boat, all 5 of them is where I'd rather be.
Yeah.
So my question is to myself every day is, how do I have the biggest impact, teach others to have the biggest impact in 8 or 9 hours with as little time on the weekend as possible, have big results, and go hang out with my family. And you got your boys moving on to school. How fast does it go? Pretty fast.
Pretty fast. Pretty
Pretty
fast.
fast. And once they're gone, they're gone.
I do think, by the way, that you talk about like you keep. I think some of us look like like it's an honor. It's like a rite of passage to say that I work 12, 14 hours a day. You look at that person and say, you're an idiot.
I gotta tell you, the biggest secret I've kept for a long time is I work less than anybody I know.
Yeah.
And the reason I don't talk about it a lot is because I'm worried that there are people that work with me are going to feel like that means I don't care about them, because it's the opposite. But I believe that if you hire someone, Hunter, like let's say you're a loan officer, you're listening, right? And you're following this team concept, and you hire a loan partner one, and then you're not willing to let them fail a little bit to learn, and you take things back from them. So you hire them and you do their job for them. And that's not that smart. That's really not that smart. I won't hire someone, pay them, and do their job for them. I'd rather let them mess it all up because I feel like I can fix it. And when I let them
Yeah.
mess it all up, there's one or two things that are going to happen. They're either going to learn from it and grow, or they're going to keep messing up. And it's pretty apparent pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think.
What do you think the ideal student is for you?
Someone who trusts me. They can say, "Oh, I'm scared of you," and that's an excuse not to do what I say or listen to me, right? Or all that is a built-in excuse not to achieve. I'm scared of you. I'm intimidated. I ain't been in a fight since the 8th grade. Like,
Yeah.
what are you scared of? I'm 6'2", 185 pounds. Like, my kid can bench press more than me. What are you scared of? Like, if you're scared because I'm going to tell you the truth, don't be scared of that. I love you.
It's actually a good point. It's like, don't be scared. It's like the truth. It's like you want to be around people that will tell you the truth, right?
Yeah, you do that for me. Like, we're really close. Like, we don't get to hang out because we're not in the same towns, but you're one of the people I have a relationship where if I'm being a dipshit, you'll tell me
Yeah.
and I don't get mad at you. Even if I'm mad at you in the moment because you're right, you know what I mean? I might be mad at you because you're right, but
Yeah.
within 3 minutes, like I'm like, thanks. Like so I do these meetings once a quarter. We were taught to do these. I do them. I've done them for more than 10 years. Every October, I do an all-day business planning event. And then every 3 months, right? So October, January, April, July, I do business planning. I just did business planning and I invite the top producers, top processors, top LP1s from my branch, and we update our goals. And I picked these three this time because they're not intimidated by me. And I learned more yesterday in my business planning meeting that I'm supposed to be leading. I gave everybody permission to be like ugly honest and not worry about offending me. And I got 3 things to fix at my branch that I have been looking for and can't
Can
find
I
by
ask what they
myself.
are?
Yes. So number one is to celebrate more. Now, Hunter, I have it right here on my wall. 9 things great leaders do every day. Number 9 is celebrate. But I don't do it. So number 1 was celebrate. Like, don't be scared to celebrate other people. The second thing
Yeah.
they said was share leadership. You're the only one in charge. You don't delegate leadership enough. I've taught people to delegate leadership in the past. But with this downturn in business, like a clamp, I just clamped up. The third thing is to call 10 of my people a day. I have 50 people that work for me. Call 10 of them a day. I would call each of them once a week. That's not too much to ask. We don't hear from you enough. We don't celebrate our wins enough. Like, it's such a simple things that they wanted, and it was so dead on for me. And I just think that to provide an environment where I let them know that no matter what they said, I was not going to get angry or defensive, which actually I did one time. But I gave my assistant Rebecca. I'm like, if I start getting defensive, do the eye roll thing, and I'll stop and I'll shut up. So one time she did the eye roll thing. I'm like, look, we're going. Like, I built this branch for 25 years, Hunter. So when someone like picks on it, I feel like they're picking on my son. I want to suck them. It's
Right.
natural, right? So I'm like, I know it, so I got to say it out loud and be quiet, because those 3 things were humongous. And just so you know, the very next day, I posted 3 celebrations of my loan officers. I don't wait. Once I know that they're right, once I know it's something to do, like if your wife tells you, Hunter, they don't give me flowers enough, I recommend as soon as you leave the room that you pick up the phone and call and order her flowers to be delivered tomorrow morning. Don't think,
Yes.
well, next time I feel it, I'm going to do it. Do that stuff. That's what I
I'm
think.
writing this stuff down. I mean, when I'm over here, I'm writing this stuff down.
You got me all fired up. That was pretty fast. You got me pretty fired up.
Which, by the way, is something that I think everybody needs to listen to. Like, you're always I'm always a student. You're always a student.
Always.
I'm always taking notes. My dad told me, like, he's like, I won't go to, this is good for everybody. He's like, if someone, he was kind of a big deal. It's like, if someone asks me for advice and I give it to him and they don't write it down, he will hand them a piece of paper and a pen. Say, you might want to write this down. Like, do you do
my favorite expression is you got a pen?
But I think for everybody listening, one, you're never going to remember what you see. You're never going to remember a conversation that you had. Like, to not write something down when you're talking. By the way, the same goes from a coaching standpoint. The same goes for a client. If a client is talking to you and they see that you're taking notes, it's important. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't understand why people don't do it.
Bro, now you're on a pet peeve of mine. Can't tell you how many times I've given assignments to loan officers, say, hey, go on 2 face-to-face meetings, sit-down meetings with realtors in the next 2 weeks. That's only 1 a week. Like, you guys are listening and you ain't going on 1 sit-down meeting with a realtor, whether it's one you have or whether you want to have, a week. Thank you, because you're not going to make it. And I'm going to take your realtor, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, give me your handwritten notes from the meeting. So then what do I get? I get a summary of the meeting typed up because they don't take notes. I think people, like, here's why I've limited on that. They think it's offensive or grade school to take notes during a meeting. And I'm just telling you, it's the exact opposite. It is super respectful. It's highly intelligent.
If I said to, I mean, if they're so worried about it, if I'm the loan officer and you're my client, I said, hey, Jim, everything you say to me is incredibly important and I don't want to forget any of it. So you're going to see me take some notes throughout this conversation. I hope that's okay with you.
Professional, lower the bar, close. Wow, you're good.
But I mean, but seriously, I mean, it's like, I mean, what's someone going to say? No, like, yeah, I mean, that's like, I'm offended if you don't take it.
Well, you don't know that you taught me this, but you taught me this because I have a little sharp edge to me. So I added, if it's okay with you, before I say anything. If it's okay with you, I'm going to take some notes so I do a better job of listening. If it's okay with you, I'm going to type during our meeting on the 10:03 in the ERLA to make sure I get your dates right. If it sounds like a good idea to you, we could meet tomorrow. And I'm telling you, just that stupid phrase, it's not stupid, just that highly intelligent phrase diffuses no matter, like, if this gets so weird, but if you ever meet with like an elitist, super high earner, high achiever, they want to be overly respected, right? So if you give them like hey, if it's okay with you, we'll meet in person. It works. If you ever met with like everyday Joe, which I consider myself, and you ask him, say, it's super respectful. There's no way to lose by asking for permission.
I was going to say, there's literally no way to lose.
There's literally no way to lose. It's the one sales thing that works for. It's not even a sales thing. It's a relationship thing.
Yeah. I mean, by the way, selling is, I mean, I had to put the sales job. My wife is way better looking than I am. If I wasn't a good salesperson, it would not be happening. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
So I don't need you agreeing with me necessarily. Let me ask you this too, because I think sometimes what everyone, like, you talk about, like, I talk about the ideal student, the ideal coach, this or that. Give me the dead opposite of, like, what are the qualities of the worst students that you've had? And what are the qualities of the worst?
So worst student is like, so the way I would say it is the slowest to learn student. How about that? So what they do is they hear what you say and then go ask 5 other people if they think it's good advice. That's the worst. Like, if you're listening and you've hired someone as a mentor, or you've chosen someone as a mentor in your business, or you've chosen someone as a mentor to be a better dad or a better husband, whatever the topic, a better basketball player, and then you've chosen this coach or this mentor, and then they tell you what to do, and when they're not around, you ask other people to see if they've got it right, fire them. Because either you're not ready, which is most likely the case, or they're not the right person. But it's my
Yeah.
biggest pet peeve, right? Like when I get done coaching, I'm always like, don't ask nobody else. Don't compare notes. Just do it. See how it works, and then let's talk about it. Instead of,
Yes.
hey, Jim told me this. You think it works? Do you think it's a good idea? I'm not sure. Like, forget it. Like, forget it.
Well, I think the key is too, don't hire you in the first place, but don't
Right.
do both. Don't do both.
That's the same thing as me saying, don't hire someone to do their job for them. It's the same thing
And
as
then do
saying,
it.
don't hire a coach and then not listen. Hello?
Well, I was just going to ask you, what's the worst coach you've ever seen? And to me, that's one of the top things. You don't listen to what your student needs. You just coach them on, you coach them on
Oh.
what you think they need versus
Oh my
what they need.
So, yeah, so like, I run next level coaching, right? We're internal program going out to external. And, it's got roots in the core, which is the best coaching program of all time for lending, in my opinion. But it's different. And I coach, I manage and run and coach the coaches for the program. And a lot of them want to have a schedule with themes. Having a theme and being married to the theme with a student is a lot like being a pitch salesperson. You're going to pitch them on whatever you decided you're going to pitch them on. That's sales. I don't want to be no part of sales. I don't want to be a salesman. I want to be a relationship guy. I want to be a consultant, and I want to find out what's not working and tell you how I got around it, how I fixed it for me. Like, I used to hang out with a lot of donut eating realtors because I coached 27 realtors at one time and got 2 loans a month from all 27 combined. Not that smart, right? They were half in, half out of the business. It made me feel good because they told me how smart I was, but they never were going to make it in our industry. It's not that tough. I mean, not that easy. Like the statistic I heard is 5% of people in lending and real estate make it longer than 5 years. 95% fail. So you're going to come in a lot of people, interact with a lot of people that aren't going to make it. So you hang out with the ones that aren't going to make it because it's easy. No one ever grew from that.
By the way, I got to take a step back for you too. It's like when you talk about like you want to roll with eagles, make sure they're to your left and to your right. And the same is true with seagulls. I don't understand why, like whether or not you're a realtor working with a crap lender or a lender working with a crap realtor, like at some point it affects your confidence. Like because I actually like, I don't want to go sit in a room with 30 people that close 2 loans of
I'm afraid it's going to
you
rub
know what I
off
mean?
on me, dude. I'm like, I'm walking out.
Literally, it's gonna. I mean, it's like it's gonna rub off on me. You know, what I mean, so it's like I
Yes.
do think I don't. People in our business, they just don't understand it. It doesn't. And this even goes back to the whole thing on, what motivates you. Praise. So it's my point is everyone has to understand what they attract and what's attractive to them, and what's attractive to them is not necessarily attractive to me. And like go make it happen with the right audience for you.
Well, yeah, you're saying that they're operating from abundance. Like, not
Yes.
everybody in the world that's a good realtor is going to like Hunter. Although a lot of them are because you're super cool, but a lot of them aren't, bro. And a lot of them aren't going to like me. Hallelujah.
Yep.
Right? So like I always tell them this story. Like, Hunter, how many kids were in your high school?
2,200.
Holy crap. How many were in your senior class?
700.
How many were your homies? Homies.
10. 10.
10. So out of 700, you had 10 homies.
Yeah.
That's real estate and lending.
Yeah.
And so you
Yeah,
had to
totally.
you had to search through 690 ding dongs to find your 10 homies.
Totally.
That's real estate and lending. If you get hung up on the fact that
But when you
600,
find them, it makes you want to go to school.
well, yeah, when you find them, it makes you better. It makes you collaborate. It makes you excited. It makes you want to go to work. And when you hang out with the
Yeah.
guys that you're not associated that don't fit, it makes you want to, duck, dive, weave, hide. Like
Yeah.
I've been there in business. I've been where I didn't want to go to work. I've been where I was hanging out with the wrong people, and like I'd be shucking and jiving, trying to avoid eye contact with my boss. Like if you're having that feeling and that behavior, man, just make a change.
but it's also universal, whether or not it's a freaking 14-year-old kid or us as loan officers, you know, I mean, realtor asking you to do something shifty or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
it's just like it all goes around. It's pretty amazing.
Pretty amazing.
What are your final thoughts on this? What would you say? I mean, we're in the middle of 2024. You got plenty of loan officers that are going, I don't know if I can make this.
Yeah. I have a final thought. There's
Go ahead.
no boat coming. You're going to have to swim for it. Like, it's not coming. Where we are is where we are going to be. I've studied the history of mortgage rates and the market. It's not coming. Jump in the water and swim your ass off. Because focus multiplied by your activity equals your results. So if you're super active, if you're telling me you're super active, if you're telling me you're hitting it hard 50, if you're telling me you're executing a play and you're not getting the results, your focus is off. You're hanging out with the wrong people. You're flying with seagulls. If you tell me that you're focused and you're not getting your results, it's because you ain't working a hard 50. And I have something for you to consider. Having a boss sucks. If you're a loan rep or a realtor, you decide when you come to the office, you decide when you go home, you can take time off to go watch your kid run track. You can pick your little girl up after kindergarten and take her to get ice cream and drop her off at home and go back to work. And you don't have to ask anybody. Try having a job where you got to ask Mr. Smells if you can take 10 minutes to go pick up your daughter from work. It sucks. So if I had one bit of recommendation for anybody that's in real estate or lending right now, let's see, May 20th, 24, it's a really good job. We're super lucky to have it. Start acting like that. That's my advice.
I love it. I love it. I'm just gonna put my face on you and away we go. I love that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Jimmy, dude, love talking to you, brother. Always. So thank you.